All right, now, three, two, one, go. Yes, I'm already recording.
You're listening to the Theology of Games podcast, your source for gaming news, reviews, and interviews with the top voices in the industry. Find us online at theologyofgames.com. And now, here are your hosts, Scott Firestone and Jeremiah Isley.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Theology of Games podcast. This is podcast number 7 in
Number 7.
It's a yearly tradition, apparently, now.
Is this thing on?
It has been so long since we did a podcast.
It's been very long.
For various reasons, and so we apologize.
But we're back.
Yeah.
And hey, this is Jeremiah.
And this is Scott Firestone.
We should introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
We're rusty. We're out of practice.
Man, are we ever rusty? We're like, wow.
Anyway, but we're back. Hey, it's podcast number 7, and we've got a lot of fun stuff in store. We're going to talk about what's on our tables. We're going to have our world famous, I would say, fill in the blank section. I don't know if it's world famous, but we'll just go with it.
I think it's internationally recognized.
It's intercontinental
and well known.
And all that stuff. We'll be talking about our fire and ice, which is a fun little section of when we talk about things that we're hot on and things that we're maybe not so hot on. And we're going to take a quick look at Gen Con and some other fun stuff. So, with that, let's jump in. What do you say?
Let's do it. All
right, let's do it. So, what is on your table, Mr. Firestone?
The thing that's on my table recently that is rather unexpected for me is the Star Wars RPG.
Uh-huh.
Our game group, I have a game group that I've been meeting with for 10 years now on Tuesdays, and we play most anything, but never RPGs. And then a few of the guys, we were talking, and we all like Star Wars, and we said, hey, does anyone want to try that? And we all kind of, yeah, maybe we do. And so for a month or so now, 4 of us have been getting together. One guy's the DM, and then there are 3 of us, and now another guy I think is going to join next week. And every other week on Tuesdays, we've been playing the Star Wars RPG. And
nice. And what race, class, all that stuff are you?
I'm a human bounty hunter. No, I don't think so.
Okay. Are you at least like Force Adept or something?
No. The other 2 people are crud. I can't remember what they are. One of them is a giant monster-looking guy that can rip your arms off. What is that race? I don't know Star Wars as well as I thought I did.
Oh,
and then the other one is whatever race Cad Bane is.
Okay.
He is one of those guys. In fact, I think he's a cousin of Cad Bane's, in fact.
Oh, well.
In our story.
Who isn't?
So, well, yeah. I'm not, because I'm just a boring, dumb old human. But it is really fun. If you have any interest in RPGs, I have very little experience with them. I played a little bit of D&D one time. The group I didn't like the group, and I realized, I'm not sure I like this game. It was kind of detailed and everything, and a little too, your backpack has to weigh this much. And
right.
I don't like that kind of micromanagement.
How are you dealing with the dice rolls? I know you and dice and all that randomness don't get along too much.
It doesn't bother me at all in this because the game is really cinematic. You like the way the mechanics work is you feel like you're telling this fun story because the mechanics of the game don't get in the way of the story. The story is the king, and yeah, you have some dice that determine things, but you feel like all those dice are doing is setting you on a different path in this fun story that you're telling together. And I'm really enjoying it.
Well, good. That's a bit of a diversion from your normal tabletop geekiness, but
and to be honest, it's kind of hard to get reviews done when every other week I'm role playing, but at the same time, I'm like, this is a blast. This is why I game. So
Right on, right on. Yeah,
yeah.
it's been a long, long time since I've played the Star Wars RPG. It's probably changed and had many iterations since then, but I do remember enjoying it myself. So that's cool.
How about you?
I have been playing. Well, I've been playing a lot of things lately, actually. But one thing that I've really enjoyed playing is Fidelitas.
Mm.
We just reviewed this and had a lot of fun with it. It is Jason Katarsky who designed Great Heartland Hauling Company, which we both really enjoyed as well last year. It's a
Yes.
little, it's a really, it's a filler game, but it's a lot of sort of hidden agenda and manipulation and meddling with each other's plans as best you can. And our group has really enjoyed this game as we've been fortunate enough to kind of get some early copies of it, some print and plays and stuff like that, and kind of see it develop from what it was into what it is now. And it's on Kickstarter right now, and it's funded. So hey, if you go spend the money to back it, you'll get the game. And it's just a fun little game. Every time we play it, we're like, hey, let's just play that again. Like it has enough intrigue and enough suspicion and stuff like that where it keeps you invested in the game. It keeps you interested, and turns don't take long because the mechanics of it are so simple. So we've really enjoyed it and had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a good, solid little filler.
Definitely. Anything else on your table?
On my table, but not getting played yet. And what I mean by that is I've been collecting all this Star Wars X-Wing miniatures game.
Yes.
And I've played some of it, and the kids and I have played, but I haven't been able to organize it until recently. And I just sat down one day, and I was like, this is ridiculous. I have all these blister packs sitting around, and they're just getting in the way, and then I move them from here to there. So I got a pretty cool tackle box. It's this big Plano tackle box that has a lift top and then 4 Plano trays fit inside of it, and it's compact. I mean, it's huge, but it's compact, and it'll hold everything I have now and then some. And so I've just been organizing it, putting things together, getting the cards together, and so I'm going to be ready, and I'm just looking at these ships as I'm pulling them out and everything, going, man, I just can't. I mean, there's so many ships I haven't even been able to play with yet, so I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, it's funny. We went to Origins in June, and my buddy who came with me and ran camera and stuff, he kept looking at all the stuff, and he finally broke down and bought the starter, the base game, and he's been buying ships and everything, and I have yet to play it with him. It's one of those, oh, it's such a great game. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, you should totally get into this game. And we still haven't sat down to play.
So you've never played at all?
No, I have played it in the past.
Oh, okay.
But I talked him into playing it, and I haven't played it with him.
Right. You should remedy that.
I really should. I should. It's a fun game and just really solid design. And I love miniature games like that are fun, but it's not a 3-inch thick rule book that you have to know the wind velocity and everything else and all that jazz. So
right.
I enjoy those kind of games, but we'll be playing that soon. Cool.
Anything else for you?
Yeah, I don't even know that you could say that it's been on the table, but we have been really playing some Two Rooms and a Boom lately, which again, it's not even out yet. They kickstarted it and they're in the production process and all that stuff. But I say it's really not on your table because it's not a game that you sit at the table and play. You have to walk between 2 rooms. But we played it most recently. I had a youth lock-in for my youth group, and we had I want to say we had about 14 people in the game, and we just had a blast. We probably played almost 2 hours worth of it, and I kept adding in rolls every time, and by the last like 2 or 3 games, there were no regular rolls. You know how there's some of the cards are just red team or blue team. Everybody had a special roll, and it was just so much fun. And by the
Nice.
end of the lock-in, we were just kind of sitting around, you know, in that dazed stupor of, oh my gosh, I just stayed up for 26 hours straight.
Yeah, I've been there.
And I started asking kids. I was like, "Hey, what was the favorite thing? Your favorite thing we did, you know, during the lock-in?" And I'd say about half of them said, "Oh, 2 rooms and a boom. It was so much fun." So
Awesome.
yeah, I tell you, it's such a fun, lightweight, but just sneaky, interactive game that students really enjoy. So that was a big success. So there you go.
That's what's been on our table.
That's a small portion of what's been on our
Well,
table,
yeah.
but yes,
I mean, we play stuff all the time, but
some very some
notable.
key things that have been on our
Yes.
table. Anyway, shall we move on?
Let's move on to fill in the blank, fill in the blank. Now we're gonna fill in the blank.
Hey everybody, fill in the blank. There's blanks over there, and they need filled in.
Filling. Yeah.
Yeah.
We like to impromptu make up theme songs for our sections, and
One of these days it'll stick. Maybe
stink.
not.
I think you meant to say stink.
Well,
All right, so
not one of
here's
these
my
days.
first question. Actually, this is your first question. Why don't you ask it?
Oh, it's my first. Okay,
Well, you wrote this one.
I did write it. Okay, blank has been the biggest surprise of the year on Kickstarter.
The biggest surprise of the year on Kickstarter for me was the new Resistance expansion.
Haha, that's not what I thought you would say, but okay,
Well, I think I know what you thought I was going to say, and maybe that's what you're going to say.
it might be.
But it was because it came out of left field for me. I had heard, oh yeah, they're kind of talking about expansions and things like that, and then suddenly like, hey, here's this expansion, and it was a real thing, and I don't know, I wasn't expecting it, I guess, and because it's my favorite game, it does look cool. Some of the things, there's one of them that sounds a lot like Lancelot in Avalon, and I hate Lancelot in Avalon. We played with it a couple times and then realized this is just awful.
Yeah.
So I'm a little disappointed in that, but the rest of the things look really cool, and it's my favorite game, so anything that's going to add a little more life to my very favorite game.
Refresh it, reboot it,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Even though it doesn't really need it. I mean, we played 3 games the other night of basically vanilla with no plot cards or anything, no rolls,
Really?
and it was just fun. It's
Yeah.
so good. Anyway, I love that
there you
game.
go.
So that's my biggest surprise. What's been your biggest surprise of the year on Kickstarter?
The Resistance expansion is definitely one of them. But I was very surprised to see the Feld game show up on Kickstarter, which is what I thought you were going to say.
No, and that's not what I thought you were going to say.
No. Wow. Well, we're just surprising everybody all over the place here. No, it was, that one for me kind of came out of nowhere. And, Tasty Minstrel's gone through some issues with delays and stuff like that. And they've actually been very upfront and transparent about all that, which has been cool.
Yeah.
And, apparently I'll be getting those micro games that I spent my $2 on really soon, which, I'm missing that $2, but they came out and they did this Aquasphere, I think it's called. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. And, it's this new Feld game that I know you're a Feld man, so
I'm gaga.
That was kind of
Feld.
a surprise to me to see that coming.
I mean, I guess it was a surprise because I knew they were working on Aquasphere. I'd seen pictures of it, but I had no idea Tasty Minstrel was going to do it. And then this is kind of a different Kickstarter for them because it wasn't so much a, hey, help us make this game a reality. It was more like, hey, this game is going to be there, and we need to know if there's enough interest to bring enough of them over to the States.
Right.
And so his Kickstarter was more of a, do you want to pay to do that? And people like me who adore Feld were like, yeah, we want to do that. So I can't wait to play it.
I did not back it because money, but
I
it
probably shouldn't
does.
have backed it because of money, but
Yeah, but yeah, it's definitely not one of those like, oh, well, here's the prototypes, and this is what we think it'll look like.
right.
It's definitely finished components and artwork and all that stuff. So it looks really fantastic, and hopefully it is.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be similar to some of his heavier games, like Trajan and Bora Bora, which are thinky, brain
Mm-hmm.
burny
Mm-hmm.
games, and so I'm on board. The game
Excellent.
I thought you were going to say, and the game I thought you thought that I was going to say, was Nautilus Industries, because
Ah,
we both kind of commented that, um, as far as Kickstarters go, it's one of the better ones that's come down the pike that we've seen.
it really is. There's been a handful that have come down, and we already talked about Fidelitas, and that was kind of a nice surprise to see a really solid game come through Kickstarter. But yeah, Nautilus Industries is also surprising of just how good it is, and just a solid quality game that you can pick up on Kickstarter. So
Hmm.
uh, that was a good guess, but it wasn't what I was thinking.
Yeah, neither one of us. Oh well,
All
still a good
right,
game.
fill in the blank. My kid's favorite game right now is
Carcassonne.
Carcassonne. Nice.
I had played Carcassonne with my oldest a couple of years ago, and he
Mm-hmm.
liked it.
Right.
He wasn't gaga over it, but he liked it. And then about a month ago, I introduced my 6-year-old to it, and he wants to play it every single day.
Nice.
Not an exaggeration. Like every day. Hey, Dad, can we play Carcassonne? Can we play Carcassonne? He loves the game. My wife has the app on her phone or on her
Yeah.
Kindle,
Uh-huh.
and he will play that if he can't play the board game with me. He loves that game
Well, there you go. He's hooked.
totally.
It's
I
not a
mean, he
bad
loves
game to
board.
play.
No, and it's one that you can ramp up the complexity by
Right.
adding in all those little expansions. So we've been playing the vanilla one, but I think he's maybe ready to start adding in a couple of little things. So
Yeah.
it's a great game.
Yeah. If you do Inns and Cathedrals, that's a pretty easy expansion to
Right.
grasp. So cool.
And there's a
Uh,
new one called Hills and Sheep that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's all those. There's like 6 or 7 mini expansions that you can add into that. I haven't played any of those yet, but
I haven't either.
I
I don't
hear.
even have any of them.
Yeah, I haven't either. So we'll have to see how those shake out.
What about
Uh,
you? What are your kids loving?
you know, I can't even believe that we're into this game right now, but right now it's Dice Masters. And
Mmm.
I never even thought that I would actually get the game
You drank the
because,
Kool-Aid, man.
well, we talked about this. We talked about, oh, it's collectible, you have to bring your own dice, blah, blah. And then it was like you couldn't find it anywhere. Well, I walked into my favorite local game store, and I was talking to Sean, the guy that works there, and we're chit-chatting about games, and I go, "You guys don't have Dice Masters, do you?" And he's like, "We have one copy of the starter here." And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
"People are selling it for like $40 and this and that." He's like, "We're just selling it for 15." I was like, "Well, I'm going to buy it." And of course I had my boys with me, and they're like, "Whoa, Dice and Marvel and X-Men and Avengers and everything else." And it's kind of like a streamlined version of Quarriors, but you can just buy a bunch of dice and kind of draft them. You don't have to buy them and bring your own and all that stuff. So it's
Mm-hmm.
actually, the boys love it. It plays really fast. It's not like you're spending a lot of time playing a game. There's probably the biggest downside is that there's some setup time for how quick the game plays, but
Hmm.
they've enjoyed it, and they've actually grasped it pretty well. So they're big into the superhero thing and rolling dice, and it's both of them. So that's what's their favorite game at the moment.
That's great. I had heard good things about it. Some people in the group had played it. Every one of them liked it better than Courier's.
Yeah.
And but I don't want to get into the collectible aspect of it.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, I spent $15 on it. We'll probably spend, if we can ever find the boosters again, they're 99 cents. So,
Right.
we'll probably spend another 15 on it and be done. So that's kind of
Yeah.
where I'm at with it. I don't want to do the collectible thing either, but I'll buy some more dice just so we can have some more variety, and I'll be perfectly happy with that.
I, on a whim, bought 2 booster packs. I
Yeah,
don't own the base game. I have no desire, but I was just like, for $2, I'm going to grab a couple of these, and then I could give them to a friend or whatever.
right.
And I opened one up, and one of the guys is like, "That's a super rare you got." And I was like, "What? I don't even know what that means." And so then I look online, and it's like the card's going for $40 on eBay, and I was like, "Oh
There you go.
yeah!" And then
Just bought.
another friend of mine bought an entire box of boosters. I think I'm not positive, but what is it, $60 maybe? Like he bought a whole pack of boosters, did not get a single super rare.
Really?
So he was
Oof.
miffed at me,
Yeah, yeah. I could
but I don't
imagine
care.
that. All right, next fill in the blank.
Next, fill in the blank. Jeremiah, what's the expansion that you're most looking forward to right now?
Well, this is probably a bit of a softball, and you probably can guess before I'm going to say it, but I'm definitely looking forward to the Hostile Intent and Hidden Agenda expansions of the Resistance.
Mm,
So it goes. I mean, we don't really have to say much more than that. It adds a bunch to the game. It's one of my favorite games, and it spices it up a little bit and gives it a little more replayability. And I know that my group's going to love it. So there you go.
that's a good
What
answer.
what's not to like? All right,
Um,
Scott. The expansion you're most looking forward to right now is.
well, only because you said that, I'm not going to give the same answer,
Okay.
just so we have something else to say.
Okay.
But let it be known that I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to the Terra Mystica expansion.
Ah.
I have played that game a few times. It is so good. It has so much replayability in it. The races are so interesting and varied and just fun. And I'm looking forward to new races. So, yeah, I don't know when it'll be out. I don't know what Z-Man will do. They had some issues with Terra Mystica
If
and
there will
ordering
be
enough
enough of them.
copies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll order more than 3 copies of the expansion, and we'll be able to play it. So I don't even know when it's going to come out, but I'm very much looking forward to that.
Excellent. Well, I think that's all we have for fill in the blank.
Yeah, that's it.
Should we move on to fire and
And
ice?
ice. Yeah,
Those
let's
are
do
our
that.
professional sounders there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, fire and ice is actually a cool section because it was given to us by good old Alden Schoenberg, who is a listener and a reader of the blog. And he wrote us. He's like, "Hey, I have this idea for the podcast," and we were like, "That is so cool!" So here it is, Fire and Ice, for like the second or third time, right?
Yeah, it's a great bit, great name, great idea. So let's jump in. Fire is the game that has just been on fire for us. What game, like, are you playing? Are you loving? Just maybe you didn't even expect it, but it's on fire for you. And then Ice is the one you're kind of cold on, and it wasn't as good as I thought, or whatever. So, what game is on fire for you?
On fire. So here's well, there's a lot of them but I'm going to just say this one because I mean we talked about Nautilus and we talked about Fidelitas and stuff like that, Two Rooms and all that. Like I'm really enjoying all of those games right now. But one that kind of came out of nowhere is Star Realms, which launched at Origins, and I didn't pick up a copy while I was there, and then my buddies were like, they were on the fence, and 2 hours after we got home, they like ran to the store and bought copies. It's it's the first deck builder that instead of just kind of getting victory points and hey, I did better than you, it's actually competitive. You're actually taking pot shots at each other, and
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to actually destroy your opponents. Um, it plays super fast. I mean, I didn't even have to read the instructions. They were like, these symbols mean this, these symbols mean that, and that's that. And I mean, I learned the game in like 3 minutes, and I was off and running. And I happened to destroy everybody in the game. So the first time I played it, so it's a fun little game. It's super cheap. It's like $15 to get the single deck that plays 2 players, and then
Right.
if you want to play 4 players, you can buy another one, and that's all you need. So it's super easy to get into, and it was a lot of fun. So we're all really enjoying that one.
I think it's between printings right now, so
It
the
is.
price
They're
is
completely
artificially
sold out.
high.
Yeah, they're completely
Yeah,
sold
so
out.
don't
So
pay the high prices.
yeah, it's super cheap. You'll be able to get it for $15 when they have another print run come out.
Yeah,
So
I have
yeah,
not played it, but just a week or so ago, some people broke it out. One of the guys went to Origins and picked up a couple of decks,
yeah,
and so they're playing, and they weren't sure. Then one guy had a weird look on his face, and I said, "So what do you think about it?" And he said, and this is a guy that's played tons of games, and he loves deck builders, and he
yeah,
said, "I think this might be the second best deck builder there is." And I was
yeah,
like, "What? Are
yeah.
you kidding me?" And he said, "Oh yeah." And so then he played another game, and he said, "Yeah, after Dominion, which may never be toppled, and deservedly so." He said,
Right.
this is the second best deck builder in my opinion."
It's
So,
it's right
whoa.
up there. It's a very cool game. So it's once they have another print run off the boat, go grab a copy.
Oh yeah, me too.
Definitely. All right. What about you? What's on fire?
I played Istanbul, which
Uh-huh.
was
Not Constantinople,
nope, it's now Istanbul,
just Istanbul. All right. Just to be
and
clear.
it was up for the Kennerspiel des Jahres.
Yeah.
I'm butchering German.
Yeah.
But the kind of gamers game of the year,
Right.
and in fact, I think it won, didn't it? Yeah,
I don't
I think
know.
it did
That was a
win.
while ago.
So, deservedly so. It is a great game. It's by Rudiger Dorn, who is one of my favorite designers. He designed the game Goa, which I played on my very first game night,
Right.
and it blew me away. Like, I'd never played any kind of games like this before. I played Goa, got destroyed, and had the last time of my life. So I kind of
Right.
have a sweet spot for him. But so this is a new game from him, and he has this mechanic where he likes to have stacks of chips that kind of represent you, and as you move along a path, you drop a chip where you're going.
Okay.
It's hard to explain, but he's done it in a couple other games, Traders of Genoa being one, and Robber Knights being another. And he uses that same thing here, but in a different way, obviously. And you are trying to make it through these different market stalls in Istanbul and get various things. It's kind of a race game, not like a race game like Snowtails or Mississippi Queen, but like you're trying to be the first one to accomplish these things before the other players. And so you're dropping your chips, and then they're kind of your employees that are stopping at these different market stalls and doing things for you.
Okay.
And then, but you have to be very efficient about it because you want to there's a spot that you can go to that kind of calls them all back to you, because once you run out of people to do things for you, you're stuck. And then you can move
Right.
very slowly somewhere. So it's all about efficiency and using the board the best way. And the board is modular, so every game can be different.
Oh,
And
nice.
so it totally. I've not played the other two, but as far as just playing this one, it deserved to win the Kennerspiel. It's a really solid game, and I can't wait for it to be readily available because I will definitely be picking one up.
There you go.
AEG is putting it out, I believe. So
Is that okay? Cool.
yep.
I will have to look for that at Gen Con next week.
Oh, shut it!
And let's move on to the
Spoiler alert.
ice.
Dirtbag Isley's going to Gen Con.
Listen, it's not my fault that I live in the Midwest where all the cool things happen. Uh,
And I live in God's country.
Something like that. All right, so let's move on
All right.
to the ice section.
Ice.
What are you cold on?
I'm a huge fan of social deduction games. Two Rooms in
Yes,
a Room, One Night Ultimate Werewolf, Resistance. I love those games so much. So
you and
any
I
new one,
both.
I automatically want to try. So
Yes,
there was a new one from Fantasy Flight called Bloodbound,
yes,
and it was kind of a vampire-y, here's hidden roles and two different teams, and you're not sure who's on the teams, and blah blah blah.
right.
And the game itself was okay, I guess. Not, there wasn't really anything compelling about it. There were kind of some interesting mechanics where you're slowly having to reveal things about yourself, and there are
Hmm.
these cards that kind of have every character and have there are three different characteristics of the character, and so throughout the game you're slowly having to reveal something about yourself. So it's like,
Right.
oh, that character revealed this quality, so they can be one of these people, and that you're trying to determine which team they're on, and then they have to later on reveal another characteristic, which narrows it down further. So it's kind of an interesting thing. That's cool.
Right.
What I hated, and what everyone hated, is the artwork on this game. It is so horrifically, terribly horrible. They used real people
Yes.
with some photoshopping kind of done to make magic and
Right.
smoke and things like that. But yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
it is. It is
It
pretty
looks like a
crazy.
joke. Like you think, oh, this is some kind of Onion article or something that they put these people. No, this is 100% legit. These people are staring out at
Yes.
you seductively, and I'm pointing at you on magic, and
I'm a
it's
vampire. Don't
so
shine that light on me. I'll
terrible.
sparkle.
Oh my goodness, it's
Yeah,
terrible.
I've played Bloodbound, and I think I remember when we were learning it, the person that had brought it out was like, and the artwork is just terrible on it, and we like to laugh at it. So I do remember that being a thing, and I also thought, like, I thought there were some clever things mechanically that happened with the game, and you kind of, force you to play certain different ways depending on who you were. But it was kind of odd to me that if you were a bloodbound vampire and you had to, you know, protect your hive leader or whatever they call it, I don't know. Like, you would know who the people, you would at least know who your leader was, and you
Yeah,
didn't
it
know who
didn't make
anybody
thematic
was.
sense.
Thematically, it didn't make any sense. Now, under different circumstances, it could have, I think, thematically made more sense if it was a different genre or whatever. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that one. Just some confusing things about it, and the artwork is terrible.
Oh my goodness, I just felt like the people that modeled for it, like they must have hated it too. I
Yeah,
feel like it was like they got the interns together and they're like, "Hey, Steve, guess what you're doing today?" What? Oh, seriously?
and
And
we're gonna airbrush abs and pectorals, and
right. Oh,
yes.
it's so bad, so bad. So anyway, Bloodbound, great game company, terrible
Yep.
artwork, and the
Everybody
game
has
is
their
only
vices.
mediocre. So it's
Yeah.
not even worth like, well, just get past the artwork and it's a great game. That's no, just
No.
no. So
Yeah.
Bloodbound. All right, Jeremiah, what has
All
been
right.
ice for you?
So honestly, there's been very few that I've been like "Meh," lately. I've had a pretty good streak of trying new games and playing new games and stuff like that. But I'd have to say, we played we played a game of Nile Deluxor a couple,
Hmm.
maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I had never played it with, I believe it's the full complement of 6 people. I've always played it with like 3 or 4, and it was always pretty enjoyable. Like there was a little bit of luck because of the luck of the draw, but there's things you can trade in cards to change what card is drawn and things like that. So I was like, you can kind of mitigate a lot of this, and it's a fine game for kind of a lightweight card game. Well, I played it with 6 people, and by the end of the game, we clearly knew who was going to win, and
Mm-hmm.
half of us were so far out of it that we were like, oh, come on, And so it just kind of became a joke where, and there was even one player who kept playing things really well, like had a handful of great cards, and then the wrong card would get drawn and he would lose a ton of stuff, or people would steal all of his stuff. It just never ever worked out for him, and it was kind of a joke and laughable at the end that, wow, buddy, you're done. I mean, he had literally had just a mess of cards in his hands that he couldn't do anything with. So I don't know, like I said, I've played it with fewer players and I've enjoyed it. It's been a decent, okay game, but with playing that many people, I just kind of was like, I'm really done with this game for a little while. I can put that on the shelf for a little while.
Yeah, I think in one of our games we played with a bunch of people, and it was just, you had no control.
Yeah, you just totally lose any amount of control. And, like I said, there's things that they built into the game that give you a little bit of control, and, you can kind of draw that new flood card and stuff like that. But it clunked along for us.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Fire and Ice.
Fire and Ice.
Unless you have anything else to add to that.
No.
All right. Well, let's keep it moving.
Yeah, let's keep it moving with your crummy news.
So here's the news today. I'm going to Gen Con next week, and I'm really excited.
And I'm jealous.
You are jealous, but that's okay. I'll forgive you for your jealousy, because I would be super jealous too.
Well, I've always been jealous because you get to go to Origins, and I'm like, oh, that's a bummer. And then he's like, oh, there's a good chance I'm going to Gen Con too, and I just started blubbering.
I really have to talk about how awesome my wife is, just for a second, because we were on our way home from Origins, and I was talking. I was like, man, it was really good. I got to talk to a lot of people, and they all they knew who we are. I feel like we're gaining ground in this industry, and people are starting to recognize us, and it was just really cool. It was a great experience, and she goes, well, would it be a good thing for you to go to Gen Con too? And I was like, really trying to play it cool, but inside I'm like, yeah. So we talked about it, and kicked it around, and we worked it out. We're gonna head out there, and I'm gonna be at the con for Thursday and Friday, and I'm gonna be meeting with a bunch of people. The folks from Two Penny Games, Kelsey and Mike, who did the Amberden project, and they're doing like this cool live thing during this live event during the con. I've connected with them, and we're going to meet up. And, the usual suspects, Jason Katarski and Jason Tagmeyer, Michael Coe from Gamelin Games. I've connected with him. We're going to meet up. And I'm also going to connect with guys, Lamplight Games, Michael Friesen. And so just really looking forward. I've got like a list of people that I'm already scheduled to meet with. The folks from Looney Labs want to get together and talk about new Flux games and stuff like that. So I'm pretty thrilled.
Yeah, we're thrilled for you. Can't you tell?
Yeah, your silence is deafening.
So the upside here is I'm like, well, if you're going to be there anyway, can you at least grab me the Gen Con Lord of the Rings deck for the living card game?
Yes, which I'm pretty excited about. I didn't get last year's, but I got the one before that, and it was pretty awesome. And I'm trying to remember.
Was that the Smog one? The Battle of Lake Town or something?
I don't think it was a Smog one. It might have been 2 years ago.
The Massing Esgiliath?
Yes.
I have that one. I have not played it.
Oh, you have to play that one. It's so fun. It's a bloody battle. Like, everybody gets killed. It's so brutal, but it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. So I am looking forward to Gen Con, and there's a lot of cool things. I know Michael Coe, I believe, is releasing Tiny Epic Kingdoms there, There's a bunch of them heading out that way.
Mm-hmm.
And there was another game I just saw that was being shipped to the con for release, and I can't remember right now. I think it might have been the Amberden affair. They got it produced in time to make it to the con, and they had like one or two that they took pictures of, and the rest were on pallets to the con. And so yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that's going to be first, world debuted at the convention, and looking forward to checking that all out and talking to all those people, and maybe actually play a game or two while I'm there too.
I hope you have a lot of fun, and I mean that. You rat.
All right. Well, hey, I think that brings us to the end. And that brings us to a new thing that we're doing at the end of our podcasts. Unless there's anything else we need to talk about before we move on.
I don't think so. We should, let's keep this to an hour or so.
Excellent. So here's what we're doing. We love to do interviews on the blog, and we thought of it, just hours ago before we started recording. We thought, hey, why don't we answer the lightning round questions that we ask everybody? We'll pull some of those up, and we will ask them to ourselves. And so we're going to close out this episode by doing our own lightning round for each of us. So, with that, it's the lightning round.
Now, we didn't talk about this, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I
I
interrupted
was
your
making
lightning.
sound effects.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. The lightning round.
You
Go ahead.
kind of ruined it, though.
I know. I want you to. I'm giving you. I'm
Okay.
tossing it to you to make the noise again. It's the lightning round.
It's the lightning round.
That sounded like artillery more than lightning, but
did.
nevertheless. So we
my
didn't
mom
talk
was
about.
right.
Are we sticking to the just keep it fast and answer the question, or are we going to expand just a little bit on these, or we didn't talk about
the
that?
idea has always been that it's like one word responses, but then like people feel the need to continue to explain. So I say we freestyle it, however you feel like answering it.
Wiki. All right, let's do it.
All right, here we go. It's lightning round. Question 1. Who is your favorite Muppet?
Rolf the dog.
Ralph the dog. Nice choice. I would have to say, and it's a very hard choice, but I'd have to say Gonzo well, no, I take that back. I'm going to say Animal.
Yeah, Animal's definitely my second.
Yeah. See, I
But
grew
when
up playing drums, so like,
oh yeah,
kind of idolized,
and I grew up sarcastic, so Rolf
Right.
fits for me.
Awesome.
All right.
Lightning round. Question 2.
What is your guilty pleasure band or artist? The one you would be embarrassed for the world to know you listen to, and so you're going to admit it on a podcast, which is listened to by tens of people.
Yeah.
No, just tens of people.
Tens, maybe dozens. I don't even know that I'm embarrassed to admit it because I really don't care, but I love the Spice Girls. So.
You can tell we didn't tell each other the answer before, because that is unadulterated laughter right there.
True story. 1998 World Tour. I was most definitely there, singing every song. It was outstanding. The only thing that would have made it better is if it would have been before Ginger Spice left them. It was only the 4 of them at the time. So there you go.
Oh. How can I go on? How can I go on?
Top that, sir.
I can't. I have to rethink our entire relationship now. You went. It's not just like, oh, I like the Spice Girls, and I listen to them on Spotify in the privacy of my own home. But you went to a concert.
I did. And true story, the whole time we were there, we spoke in British accents. And there were like 4 or 5 guys with me. And one of them got on TV because they thought he was literally like legit from London.
Oh, mind blown.
There you go.
Okay, wow, mine's not even close to being that good. There's this guy. His name is Arion,
Okay.
and
Does he play a pan flute or
no. Well, no, he doesn't.
that's
He's
Zamfir?
I want to say he's prog rock, but like prog metal, kind of like
Yeah.
Dream Theater and those kind of guys.
Right.
So he's a Dutch musician. His real name is something I'm going to butcher, but it's Arjen Anthony Lucassen.
Uh-huh.
And he goes by Arion, and he makes these rock opera, like over-the-top sci-fi epic albums that have ridiculous storylines, and they have names like, the songs have like Into the Electric Castle and Across the Rainbow Bridge, and like it's so hilariously terrible. I love those albums. I listen to them fairly often, and they're so hilariously over the top. But it's not a joke. Like, these are legit albums. This isn't Spinal Tap. It's
right.
It's
like this guy's
like he's serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's Temple of the Cat. The Druids turned to stone. Like, these sound like Spinal Tap songs. They are not.
But they're not. They're not.
And I love these songs. They're so good.
And
he's really talented.
I think we've officially derailed on the whole lightning round concept, but that's okay because that was a good story.
All right, yeah, both of those probably deserved a little extra. Okay, so we'll go shorter here.
All right.
Lightning this round. Is yours. Yeah.
I can't make a lightning sound. It's thunder that makes the sound anyway. Favorite doctor, and we don't mean your urologist. We're of course talking about Doctor Who.
Doctor Who. Everyone has the doctor that, when you became aware of the show, is generally whoever was on there currently is, who your doctor is.
Right.
So mine would be Tom Baker.
Yes.
When I was a kid, I didn't know anything about science fiction, I'd read some stuff, but I just flipping channels and I get to PBS and you're like, what is this? This is crazy. And you don't realize how campy, it didn't even occur to me how bad these things were. It was just like, this is so awesome. And you'd usually miss episodes, so you're jumping into the middle of the story, but you just don't care because it's so awesome. So Tom Baker.
Absolutely. Yes, and I would agree. Tom Baker, I know so many people that are like, oh, David Tennant. And he's a very close, I would say.
He's very good. Very good.
He was great. I loved what he did with the role and all of that. But Tom Baker, man, come on. The scarf, he was so cool, And I don't think he was the doctor that I first saw, because I remember seeing some of the first black and white ones on a TV show that was local here. Like, they would show them on late night weekend type thing. It's called Big Chuck and Little John. And so I first saw some of those super old, first, second Doctor, and became aware of it then. And then we discovered it on PBS and just loved it. We got to the point where we realized how campy it was, and sets were shaking and terrible rubber masks and everything, but we loved it. And I grew up watching the Doctor, and I remember back in those days, if you said you liked Doctor Who, you'd probably get punched in the face by a jock. So
nobody else knew what it was.
It meant something to enjoy Doctor Who because you were putting it out there. You're putting it on the line. So yeah, good old Tom Baker was and still is my favorite. So that's how that goes down.
Apparently he tried to distance himself somewhat from that role afterward.
Right.
He didn't want to be typecast, and so he wouldn't do reunion shows. There were episodes where they're trying to bring all the doctors back, and he wouldn't do them. But in recent years, there's a company called Big Finish that does audio recordings of completely new adventures for the doctors, and they they have the old doctors, at least the ones that are still alive and willing to do it, reprising their roles. And so they'll write stories for these doctors. And he has since come back and started doing those as the Fourth Doctor and just kind of embraced that. So, anyway.
Good.
Yeah, those are cool. And speaking of the special effects, I watched one episode that I had never seen not too long ago on Netflix or something, and the monster was the new technology at the time apparently was bubble wrap. And so the monster, like, people were turning into this monster or something, they were morphing, and so this guy walks in with green bubble wrap on his arm.
Yes, I remember that.
And he was like, I'm turning into it, whatever, and it was so hilarious because green bubble wrap, oh, look at it, it's so campy and terrible and hilarious.
Well, this stuff's really cheap, we can use that.
Yeah, nobody's seen it yet. Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah, it's so awesome. All right, lightning round. It's the slowest lightning round ever.
Yeah, it's a big storm. All right, Jeremiah, what's your favorite proverb?
It's such a hard question, but there's a lot of them. But I love ones that deal with throwing up. So it's 25:16. It says, "If you have found honey, eat only enough for you, lest you have your fill of it and vomit it," which is just awesome because it's the whole concept of there really can be too much of a good thing, and it says vomit. So
yeah, blood is always money.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many really, really wise things that are said in Proverbs, and even reading through Proverbs, if you try to take it in huge chunks, you'll just kind of get confused and like they're really meant to be taken in little bites and stuff. So for me, that passage is like, oh, it even applies to this book that we're reading out of the Bible. Like, take enough for you and let that kind of digest and really stew on that. Because if not, you're just kind of going to get overwhelmed and, I don't know that you would throw up from reading it, but it definitely, it kind of corresponds to that. So I enjoy that one.
Nice.
Yes. What about you?
Mine is Proverbs 3:5-6. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will make your paths straight." And I've loved that since I heard somebody do a song about that. I can't remember who it was now, but it's just so true.
Yeah.
I want straight paths, and
definitely.
So I try to trust in the Lord.
And lean out on your own understanding.
Yeah, that doesn't always work out for me.
Yeah, that's the tough part. All right. And finally,
Jeremiah, what is your favorite Pixar movie?
I have a hard time answering this because before I had children, I would actually intentionally go see Pixar films. And since I've had children, I've had to watch them in an obligatory way repeatedly and repeatedly. So my favorite Pixar film, it's probably the entire Toy Story series. The arc is just really great, and they finished it up really well. So I remember when the first one came out, and it was a big deal because it was computer animated, it was this and that, and it's just a timeless story. Like, everybody thinks their toys are alive. Everybody thinks, oh, my toys do this or that when I'm gone. And they really brought that to life in a really fun way. So I would have to say it's Toy Story. And
that's a good answer.
The whole series. So there you go.
Good answer. Mine is The Incredibles.
Ah, yeah.
And I think, I'm not sure I would answer that way if I didn't have a family. But yeah. I think what that movie does is make you realize how awesome it would be to have those superpowers.
Yes.
And to be able to save people and to be able to, just be powerful like that. But how much more awesome it is to have a family that you love and that loves you.
Yeah, totally.
So it totally acknowledges how great the superhero side is, but it very much brings in the human side of it. And it's super funny and well done.
Right.
And I love it.
So there you go.
And they're making a sequel, I think.
I heard about that too. I heard a rumor of that. And it's got Samuel L. Jackson in it. So.
Where is my super suit?
My good is the only grade you're going to get.
Yeah,
he's pretty awesome in that.
Yeah, that's a great one. Well, there it is. That's our lightning round, which was not lightning fast at all.
It was like the molasses round.
But it was still fun. Molasses round.
Yeah.
And look what you learned about Jeremiah. He likes the Spice Girls.
That's right. Hey, I wear it proud. I still have my tour T-shirt.
Oh my gosh, you need to stop talking. You are digging yourself the worst hole.
Next video review.
Oh my god.
It's coming out.
Yes, do it. Actually, I'm not sure that's a good idea. We'll lose so many viewers.
No.
We'll get the report and they'll be like, yeah, you lost 20 viewers today.
It will be an amazing thing. You're going to love it.
Wow.
So, all right. Well, hey, thanks for listening to us blabber on about board games and Spice Girls and everything else. It's been a lot of fun, and we've missed podcasting for sure. And we hope you would tell your friends about it. Find us on theologyofgames.com, and we'll post all our fill in the blanks and all that stuff and see what you guys have to say too. Is there anything else we need to say, Scott, before we sign off?
I don't think so. We are going to endeavor to be more regular with these again. We were kind of regular for a while there. Then we had, 6 months or whatever of nothing, maybe longer.
Extenuating circumstances.
We are going to do our best to get these out more regularly because we have fun. We hope you like them. We have people who ask about them, which is kind of strange to hear, but
right.
But that's great. So yeah, we totally appreciate you guys listening. We appreciate you reading the blog, and please give us feedback if there's something you hate, if there's something you love, if you are never going to listen to us again because Jeremiah likes the Spice Girls, whatever.
No, we're gonna gain listeners because of the Spice Girls. You just watch. It's gonna happen.
Okay. And check out Arion. He's ridiculously over the top.
There you go.
Fun.
All right. Well, hey, this is Jeremiah Isley with
and this is Scott Firestone.
And we want to thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Theology of Games podcast with Jeremiah Isley and Scott Firestone. If you enjoyed this episode, we would appreciate your subscription to the podcast and your review on iTunes. Thanks for listening. Have a blessed day, and until next time, get a game on the table.
Mind blown.